Good evening. I call the Monday, September 9th, 2024 regular business meeting of the Lee County Board of Education to order. Mr. Trey Newell will give this evening's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. We also ask that you pray for Mr. Alonzo Cross and his Alonzo Cross's family, and guide them through these difficult times. Thank you. Amen.
You have this evening's agenda before you, and if there are no modifications, we'll adopt by consent. At this time, Vice Chairperson Mrs. Donna Ford will review public participation protocol and guidelines for this evening's meeting.
Meetings of the Board of Education are held to conduct the affairs and business of the school system. Although these meetings are not meetings of the public is invited to attend all meetings, and members of the public are invited to address the board at appropriate times and in accordance with procedures established by the board or the superintendent.
And at this time, I believe Dr. Truitt has this evening's welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board and community members. Welcome to our September meeting of the Board of Education. These past few weeks have been challenging. We have experienced several losses that will leave large holes in our hearts. Over the past few weeks, our Lee family experienced the loss of Kara Williams, student at Middle East, and daughter of our very own Amy Williams, second grade teacher at Lee County Primary School. In addition, we have lost Mr. Alonzo Cross, a cherished bus driver for over 42 years. This last week has been difficult for the entire state of Georgia and anyone in education. Violence in schools is always devastating, and the events that took place in Barrow County hit exceptionally close to home. Our thoughts and prayers are extended to the families of the victims and of the Barrow County community as we hug our children and grandchildren a little tighter and continue to be vigilant in doing everything in our power to keep our children, faculty, and staff safe to ensure that school is a place of learning and joy, not a place of fear. I would like to take this opportunity to pause for a moment of silence for the losses that we have experienced from a distance and those that are very close to home. Thank you. While suicide prevention is always at the forefront as a part of student wellness and safety, the month of September has been set aside as National Suicide Prevention Month. Many of our schools will be wearing purple, turquoise, or light blue, actually orange, to bring awareness to this avoidable tragedy. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and we look forward to an exceptional meeting.
In the first item of business, the board needs to approve the minutes from the August 12th, 2024 regular business meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? May I have a second? Are there any questions or corrections from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the August 12th, 2024 minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And the next item of business, the board needs to approve the financial report for July 2024. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments regarding the July financial report?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I make the recommendation that the financial report as submitted be accepted for the month of July 2024.
May I have a motion to approve the July 2024 financial report as presented? Ms. Ford, may I have a second? Are there any questions from the board regarding the financial report? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the July 2024 financial report as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Forward, and this is the portion of the meeting that is set aside for members of the public who wish to address the board on any issues of concern. As a reminder, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to present. The board will listen but will take no action after this presentation. Mr. Dowling will act as our timekeeper. This evening, Mr. Mike Sabot requests to speak and will come to the podium.
Thank you.
I come before the board with two requests tonight. One, that you approve a senior property tax exemption for Lee County, and a request that a vote be taken on that request at the next meeting, a public vote. The packet you received has two parts. The last 3 pages are the actual legislation, and the first 3 pages are some background information on that bill. This bill was requested to be passed by our state representative, who in the end decided that he would not do it unless he had approval from the school board. This is a bill that would go before the public and let the public choose whether or not it would happen. We did have a non-binding question placed on the ballot, primary ballot this year, in both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And the bill passed both parties with over 80% of the vote. The seniors in this county are going to be hit very hard again next year. The county is due for an entire reevaluation of the tax digest. It's my understanding that you may or may not become a member of the floating tax exemption. And I understand most schools are opting out of that. If that's the case, then the seniors are going to be hit very hard again. The third page of your packet is a cost analysis of what it would cost the school system. Roughly $269,000 would be the cost of the school system if they approved the senior property tax exemption. Calculations are there, and it was based upon the 2023 tax digest. If you have any questions, I'll be free to answer them. No questions?
Anything at this time? Okay, thank you for addressing the board this evening, and we'll certainly give consideration to your concerns. At this time, it is necessary for the board to adjourn to executive session to consider personnel matters. We will reconvene at the conclusion of the executive session. May I have a motion to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent? Thank you. May I have a second? Second. Are there any further questions from the board? Okay. Being none, it's motion and seconded to adjourn into executive session. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Currently adjourned.
There's a question about that. Well, the thing is, I'm a teacher. I didn't know that teacher was so he gets certificated.
Yeah.
It was expensive.
It's actually,
It's rare to see expensive.
May I have a motion to reopen? Okay, are there any questions or comments from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to reopen. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And the regular business meeting is called back to order. And at this time, Dr. Truitt will give the monthly, present the monthly board reports.
Thank you. I'll start with SPLOST. Our SPLOST collection for the month of August totaled $463,187.39, which is about $38,000 more than the month of July. An update in student health services. The beginning of the year has gone incredibly well, although there has been an increase in illness, including COVID, strep, and flu, which is not terribly unusual when we get little people back together. We are encouraging students and staff to have good hygiene and to wipe down high-touch surfaces as often as possible, and obviously when they're sick, to stay home. We will be coordinating with the Lee County Health Department for staff flu clinics in September and student clinics in October. That's a really good partnership to make sure that we have that. CPR and AED certifications and renewals are being organized and will happen in October. That was really good news when you've seen through the news a lot of new requirements for AEDs. We already had AEDs in place, and now we're looking at making sure that we update those, and who knew they expired, but we're making sure that all of ours are current and maintained. We are meeting with a representative of Children's Healthcare of Atlanta on September 10th, and we'll begin the replacing discontinued AEDs in our district. Building and maintenance. Our maintenance and ground department have been working hard to ensure that buildings remain clean and in good working order. Tonight I will highlight a few of our projects for the month of August. At KPS, we installed a really neat product in that we installed magnetic locks on several of the exterior of those front doors, so that allows students to not exit when they are not needing to exit, but yet those release when you have a fire alarm, and I think those have worked remarkably well and a good addition. Also at KPS, we replaced an air conditioning unit. We have upgraded at the high school. We had an issue with the water tower and water pressure, and so we've upgraded a valve there, and so hopefully that will improve the situation there. And we have installed the glass security enclosure in the front office at Twin Oaks. Our 9th grade campus, we did some air conditioning replacement and several corrective work orders as well as preventative maintenance work orders. We're at 86% on corrective and 100% on preventative. An update on the baseball home dugout. We put out a bid for an exterior build. The original request for the build yielded 3 bids, all of which were substantially over the expected budget. As the time is of the essence, we are going to review the project and consider rebid for the entire project or alternative structures. We are also putting out a request for bidding on the bleacher replacement. Our hope would be for the bleacher project to be completed before the spring of 2025, before the spring 2025 season. However, realistically, this may not begin until after that spring season. So hopefully before February, but maybe not until starting that. Bleachers are a little tricky. It's the concrete underneath and then the bleacher replacement as well. But that is a process. Future building projects, as we continue to look forward to ensuring that we are meeting the needs of our school system, both in building new structures to keep us current and meet the needs of our students. In front of you this evening, we do have a draft of potential facilities projects to support current and ongoing needs. Our first major project that we are considering is, we've talked about some potential updating at the high school. In the month of October, we will begin interviewing architects as we explore different implementations of the Georgia Department of Education Construction Management at-risk model for construction planning. Our goal would be to bring an architect and construction manager to the table at the same time. This will hopefully improve the process, ensure that we meet the needs, and come in on time and within budget. In order to implement this approach, we will be placing a request for qualifications and RFQ to select a construction manager, and we plan to bring both of these recommendations to the board for approval at the November board meeting. Student learning, I'd love for Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to invite Martin Gore, Senior Director of Special Education, to share with us updates from our Special Education Department for the beginning of the year. Mr. Gore?
Madam Chair, board members, superintendent, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give you an update on special education. First, I'd like to talk about the first 90 days of my arrival here under 4 areas. Had to assess the current status. The team took time to review existing individualized education plans and service delivery models. These are the plans that are developed to help us better educate students who have a disability. We took time to meet with key stakeholders such as teachers, parents, special education department, and administrators, which in turn helped us to evaluate current resources and staffing levels. Secondly was to build relationships. We scheduled introductory meetings with school leaders and special education staff, attended department and team meetings to understand the culture and dynamics, and ensure that we continued an open communication channel with staff and parents. Thirdly, we observed and learned. We are conducting classroom observations to understand the learning environment, reviewing data on student outcomes and program effectiveness, and gathering feedback from staff and families to identify strengths of areas for growth. And lastly, develop an action plan. As department, we meet weekly on current practices and next steps so that we can meet measurable objectives with timelines, as well as how to communicate the plan with administrators and teachers. Next, I'd like to talk to you about current initiatives and focus areas, more specifically in the areas of matching student services to needs. We are committed to individualized instruction and support. The collaboration with teachers and parents to tailor educational services to students based upon their identified needs, and providing ongoing professional development for teachers who are using the Unique Learning System, ULS. ULS is a specialized instruction for students with cognitive disabilities. We also want to be in the Lee County classrooms. We are partnering with school leaders to ensure no more than 8 students with disabilities in each homeroom class, that there is a focus on balanced and inclusive environments, and ensuring students are appropriately served and placed in the least restrictive environment. Lastly, I'd like to talk to you about leadership and next steps and how we can build upon the good work that's been happening within the department. We are regularly reviewing individualized education programs to ensure that they meet students' needs and that students are being served effectively, as well as ensuring that our processes are focused to maintain high educational standards as we do for all students. Next, we want to review and revise the team roles to ensure student support. We have adjusted responsibilities and expectations to ensure compliance with the 60-day timeline for evaluations. This timeline mandates that once we receive a request for a full psychological evaluation, we must complete the evaluation and meeting within 60 days. Additionally, we are emphasizing the efficiency and effectiveness in our practices in the special education department so that we can further support students, teachers, and administrators. And lastly, we want to ensure a high level of instruction. By having the lead teachers and senior director conduct weekly classroom observations to monitor instructional practices and provide feedback to ensure we are focused on continuous improvement and adherence to special education guidelines, and that we are partnering with general education teachers to maximize instructional focus for all students. I want to close by saying that I'm new to Lee County, but the support and collaboration from district leaders, administrators, teachers, and parents has been incredible. Everyone I've worked alongside with has been open-minded and supportive to help me learn the Lee way, at the same time being open-minded to give me opportunities to grow and learn. At that point, I want to say thank you, and are there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ford. Madam Chair and members of the board, I invite Kevin Dowling to share with us updates in the area of safety as we begin the new school year. Mr. Dowling.
Good evening, everyone. Let me get my papers on everything. Let me get my eyes out too. So as far as safety, we got a couple of areas that I want to touch on just a little bit. First, in our technology area, you know, technology is a thing that people don't notice it a lot of times until it doesn't work. Then you notice a lot. So a lot of the work that Blair does and their technology folks do is to keep us up and working and keep us updated so that we don't get taken down by bad people, or that we don't just, break or lose service somewhere. In that realm, he used two different funding rates to upgrade some things. First of all, using E-rate funds, we have a new firewall. Firewall is pretty much what keeps our network from just getting bombarded from the outside world. That firewall is kind of there to keep us a little bit safer from things getting at us. We also have new battery backups for network closets, and those have already been used a few times because we lost power a few times over weekends, so those have already been used a few times, but they're working well. And then also pays for managed services, which is engineering hours for network projects. When there's something big going on, it helps, it brings in a couple of engineers to actually come in and do a little bit of troubleshooting or engineering work to help with our technology folks when they're doing something like a big project, or if they're dealing with a situation and coming back up after being down for something. Using security grant, we did a few things with Centurion. Centurion's a company where we, it's basically an internal device in the network that keeps an eye for unusual or rogue traffic, and it notifies us when something's found, and it's already found a few things. Nothing horrible, nothing big, but it's certainly working. And then we have monthly external audits through Signary. That's the company that actually produces Centurion. And they will actually, right now they're outside the network trying to, testing us to see ways to get in. So far so good on that. They'll also get inside of the network to look around inside the network to make sure things are going well there. So, and then finally, they're in the middle of setting up the Sophos email gateway protection, and that'll sift through emails pre and post delivery for malicious email content and attachments. They're working that right now. The idea will be, instead of just going from our network to Google out to the internet, it'll go network to Sophos to Google out to the internet. That should help us. A lot of times you'll get an email from, say, Kevin Dowling saying, get your free pair of shoes, click this link, and it's not from me, but somebody has spoofed my address or something, or maybe they've gotten to my email and hacked it and caused it to go out to different people. Sophos will help out with that as well. So, in the transportation area, we have upgraded our bus camera system. This is pretty big deal, since it's been the same camera system basically since, it was what, Tisha, 2007, 2005, something like that. So this is a rather large upgrade. Gives us 360-degree views. Gives us a camera on the stop arm to catch those folks that want to pass the bus while the bus is loading or unloading students, so we can get a better picture of those. Letitia actually has the ability to look in live while the bus is en route somewhere. And it also gives better tracking of bus stop times and speed while driving. And it'll be much easier to upload and download the film from the bus to check for misbehavior and other safety issues. Back in the day, and Ms. Franken probably attested to this, I mean, you had a VCR that you had to pull the tape out and go load it up and, and record the tape. Now it's going to be done via a cloud. Pretty much they come in, the bus gets close enough, and it just uploads the video. So that's huge for us. And also this summer and into the beginning of the season, Ms. Letitia analyzed all of our routes to maximize safety and compliance with Addie's Law. If you don't know what Addie's Law is, basically it's a law that basically says they really want buses to drop kids off so they don't have to cross roads. And so they mandated that we check all of our routes to anywhere where it's over, is it 40 or 45 miles? 40. Over 40 mile an hour speed limit, that we really check to make sure, is there a way to make this safer so the kids get off on the right instead of having to cross the road? And we checked, and I think in many cases we switched things around a little bit. There were a few cases where we didn't, but they were all checked for that to make sure that our kids got off on the right side is where they could. So, finally, safety update in schools. Of course, we have school resource officers posted in every school. We're also we're collaborating, and not that we haven't, but we're really trying to hone that in collaboration with Leesburg PD. We're developing a memorandum of understanding so that we can better identify and define duties and responsibilities, not just for the police and for the SROs, but also for us. We're also working on a standing operating procedure document for SROs. It just kind of gives us more consistency. Like if we had a safety checklist, and we could say that, okay, the SRO has checked these doors, they've checked open doors. They've checked to make sure doors are locked. They've checked to make sure, when kids are moving to and fro in school, that they're, that they're safe. They're not bunching up in one place and looking for things. So, but also continuing to monitor our blind spots. We're adding cameras as needed to ensure maximum coverage and visibility in schools. And we're upgrading cameras as needed to provide clearer views. A lot of time, our cameras have a great zoom-in feature now, and we didn't used to have that. Matter of fact, we used to take a picture every second. That was really fun to try to figure out what the kid was doing. Now it's very seamless. You can zoom in and still see a pretty good bit, but as technology continues to improve, we continue to upgrade in those areas as well. And we're also reviewing proactive security monitoring measures to help ensure safe environments with the easy use across the district. That's a lot of words. What am I saying there? Well, basically, what we're trying to say is, we have a system, and it's a pretty good system that we've used. But again, you're always looking for, okay, is this the best thing? Is this the best use for us? And it's no secret. I mean, they pretty much have made it. They became very famous last week. There's a company that provided the safety basically tool that Appalachia High School used to try to, again, it was tragic, but I think things could have been worse if they didn't use this system like they did. And this is the little company is called Syntegix, and I'm not promoting or anything. We've met with them once and talked to them, but this is just a little device that acts like you can hang it around your neck with a lanyard. You can put your ID card right here on the back of it, and it's just a button. Press it 3 times, and you're calling for an administrator. Press it 8 times, like this, and you're locking the school down. So a lot more to it than that, but it's just something that something that we've talked to them. We're looking at because we want the best as far as our safety goes. And I mean, there's when things like this happen, everybody does a little reflecting, and I think we're no different than that. We're doing some reflecting and trying to look and see what's best for us and for our kids. So, with that, I'm finished. Unless you have questions, I'm glad to answer.
Do we currently have a mass notification?
Yeah, we do. It's on a cell phone, and so what you do we have an app on our phone, and it's actually. I'll show it to you.
It works quite well. My wife set it off while we were in auditorium.
So it's right here. Pretty much, if I hit this button right here, not that the cop's going to come running because I actually have to confirm, but if I hit this button, it's going to say, "Oh, are you serious?" And you slide it, and it pretty much it'll send out a thing to every police officer that has school guard, and our leaders have it, our staff members have it. So I mean, and it's we've had a few times where it's been used, but it's worked pretty well for us for several years.
So we're just exploring, is there an enhancement, is there an ease of use, what's the best? And again, we've continued to put safety in the forefront, and the commitment of this board has been extensive in that area, and so we're going to continue to make sure that remains a priority. Okay, thank you. And that concludes. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move ahead to business items. In the first of 4 business items, the board is asked to approve the current personnel consent agenda. Dr. True, would you like to comment on that agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, I recommend that the personnel agenda be accepted as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the current personnel consent agenda as presented? May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding the personnel consent agenda? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the current personnel consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In the second business item, the board is asked to approve the regular consent agenda. Dr. True, would you like to highlight anything on this agenda?
Madam Chair, members of the board, you have presented with a consent agenda that contains, some of the items that it contains is fundraisers, out-of-state or overnight trips, a website flyer for scouts, facilities used for the Brave Kindness Run, which would be the Twin Oaks parking lot, modification of the page 28 on the salary guide, which is addresses employee bus driver compensation, and local board governance annual training report. I recommend that the consent agenda be approved as presented this evening, I'm sorry.
So, may I have a motion to approve the current consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? I have a motion and a second to approve the current consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. In the next business item, the board is asked to approve high-quality instructional material for kindergarten through third grade in accordance with Georgia House Bill 538. Dr. Truitt, would you like to cover this?
Madam Chair, members of the board, the state of Georgia has a requirement as detailed in House Bill 538, the requirement of adoption of an English language arts resource from an approved list. Due to the forward-thinking and excellent resource selection of our Lee County teachers, we are already using a pre-approved resource, Benchmark. Tonight, we are requesting to meet the requirements of House Bill 538 that the board officially submit Benchmark as our K through 5 ELA resource.
May I have a motion to approve the kindergarten through third grade high-quality instructional material as presented? Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Looking at this, they looked at 12 different, reading series.
The state looked at everyone that submitted, and then they ranked those, and they basically gave each resource a grade. Ours was rated at the very highest, and it made the list of acceptable resources. So years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, due to the leadership of Ms. Manry and our Dr. Stembridge and our teachers had the opportunity to review resources, and they said Benchmark is, I think it was about 80 to 90%, said that that's the resource that they wanted. Luckily for us, that was one of the highest ranked resources from the state. And so all we're doing tonight is agreeing to submit that as our official resource. It has been our official resource. This is a step that the state has asked us to take. What it really does is just reaffirm what we've already been doing.
Well, I did notice that, how they graded them.
Yes.
And that they were strongly recommended, and then there were some that were weak in comprehension, which I thought
Yeah.
was a glaring error,
Yes.
for students.
We were just pleased when that list came out that it just affirmed what we knew. We have really good literacy leaders and great teachers.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I have a motion and a second to approve the kindergarten through third grade high-quality instructional material as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And in the final item of business, the board is asked to approve the application for a Georgia School Boards Association Beacon Award to be recognized at the 2024 GSAA Annual Conference. Would you like to explain what this is?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the board, tonight we are asking that the board nominate and vote on a submission of our school system's Classroom of the Day campaign for the Georgia School Boards Association Beacon Award. This award is for organizations that are telling the story of excellence in public education. We believe that the communications department has done an exceptional work telling the story of the incredible asset that our Lee County teachers are. There is no place that's better to learn than a Lee County classroom, and I think our campaign last year demonstrated that, and so we would like to submit that as a nomination to GSBA.
May I have a motion to approve the application for the GSBA Beacon Award as presented? May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any further questions or comments from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the application for the GSBA Beacon Award as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That was our last business item, but as a reminder, there is a call meeting scheduled for September 12th, this Thursday, and our next regular business meeting will be held on October 21st, 2024. Whole board training is scheduled for Monday, September 23rd, 2024. And
Wait a
we will-
minute.
And we will send you
You
reminders.
said September 23rd, I just looked that
Whole
up.
board,
That's a Monday.
yes.
Y'all just told me in that room it was Thursday.
Hang on, let me.
Thursday for the call meeting this week.
Thursday for the
Thursday's
call.
Oh, man,
call.
y'all
I'll give you my notes.
Alright.
Okay, we'll send reminders too. Okay, on behalf of,
text you.
if there's no
Yeah,
further
Monday's
business,
hard.
on behalf of the board, thank everyone for attending this evening's
think-
meeting, and at this time, the meeting is adjourned.